In the 2021 New York Democratic mayoral primary, the very centrist, some might say centre-right candidate, Eric Adams, triumphed over the more progressive candidates, with Catherine Garcia and Maya Wiley splitting the vote in second and third place. But in this year's mayoral primary round one, on Tuesday night, 33-year-old Democratic socialist Zohran Mamdani shocked the political and media establishment with a 7-point lead over the centrist candidate, former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, who promptly conceded the entire race. And the progressive divisions of the past were nowhere to be seen this time around. Yes, in a refreshing show of unity, Mamdani and fellow progressive candidate, New York City Comptroller Brad Lander, cross-endorsed each other during the race, telling their voters to at least rank the other second on their ballots. The two even made public appearances together, most notably on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, where the lefty duo praised each other's records and where Lander, who is Jewish, even defended Muslim Mamdani against bogus accusations of antisemitism. And on Tuesday night, when Lander went to join Mamdani's election night party after the state lawmaker's lead became apparent and undeniable, Lander was met with warm welcome from Mamdani supporters cheering his name. The man whom they were cheering about joins me now, New York City Comptroller and former New York City mayoral candidate, Brad Lander. Thank you for coming on Mehdi Unfiltered, Brad.
Great to be here.
It's not every day in politics that you see a rival candidate show up at the other candidate's election night party and be welcomed with people cheering that rival's name. What was that like for you on Tuesday night?
Yeah, I've been saying, I'm pretty sure in electoral history, no candidate polling in third at, 11% ever felt as good about election night as I have. It's made possible by ranked choice voting. So that's one point. And I, voted in that 2021 election. That's when I was elected comptroller. And I've been saying for the past 4 years, basically, if only Maya Wiley and Catherine Garcia had cross-endorsed each other, then one of them would have won and not Eric Adams. And we wouldn't have been stuck in this horrible timeline where he sold us out first to Turkey and then to Donald Trump. So having said that a lot of times, I felt it was incumbent on me to show it. But then something funny happened. I went into the cross-endorsement thinking of it more like ranked choice math. I want to be mayor, but I really don't want Andrew Cuomo to be mayor. So I better team up. And yeah, in a ranked choice model, candidates 2 and 3 should team up if they don't want candidate 1 to win. So that's just the ranked choice math of it. But then something quite extraordinary happened in that maybe we went into it more like ranked choice math, but it wound up feeling more like solidarity. People responded to this idea that politics could be something not just selfish and egotistical in the way that Andrew Cuomo and Eric Adams practiced it, who went out of their way on election day to emphasize they had only voted for themselves.
Yes.
And people loved seeing us out there together, fighting hopefully for a better city, and then to add this dimension of trying to be able to have, Jewish New Yorkers and Muslim New Yorkers be able to hear each other a little better, added something pretty special too.
So I want to come back to the Muslim-Jewish angle in a moment. Just on the cross-endorsement, and by the way, for people watching at home, he is the controller. His title's spelt comptroller, but he and I are right in saying it actually is controller. On the cross-endorsement, I wonder, Brad, at what point in the race did you two decide to do this quite remarkable, quite popular cross-endorsement? And which of you initiated it? Who came up with the idea?
No. I'll say for months, we had been saying something similar but a little flatter, which was rank the slate. So the Working Families Party had identified 4 candidates, Zohran, me, Adrienne Adams, and Zelnor Myrie, and we've been saying for many months, once the Working Families Party announced their endorsements, I think in, February or March, rank the 4 of us, don't rank Andrew Cuomo. So that was already out there, but it just didn't pack the same emotional resonance. It didn't, I think that felt like ranked choice math and not like a team effort at a better New York City. So, we only, we announced it only 2 weeks ago Friday, so just 10 days before the election. And we sat down to talk about it only 2 days before that. And, you know, there has been a lot of dialogue back and forth between our campaigns. We have a lot of mutual friends. So it was a brokered effort to say, hey, maybe it's time to sit down and talk about it. But once we did, I think it was pretty clear to both of us, both that it was the right thing to do and that it would feel like a good thing to do.
Liking this video? Then don't just watch, hit like, share and subscribe. And tap the bell so you never miss a video or live show. But if you want early access to exclusive content, then you have to head to zeteo.com and subscribe now. You'll be supporting fearless, independent journalism. In the 2020 Democratic presidential primary, we saw lefty candidates Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren run into the same issue that Garcia and Wiley ran into during the last mayoral primary in New York, before yours. They split the vote. They actually fell out quite publicly on the debate stage, Sanders and Warren, if I remember correctly, back in the 2020 primaries. Had Sanders and Warren cross-endorsed each other, I know it's not the same thing, there's no ranked choice voting in that primary, but had they kind of acted like they were on the same team, to use your phrase, same goals, built a coalition together, if Warren had played the role you played in this race, would one of them be president right now? Is cross-endorsing and working together perhaps the best solution for progressives trying to break through in these crowded primaries?
I mean, it will surprise no one that I was an Elizabeth Warren supporter in 2020, and I continue to adore her. So this worked surprisingly well. I mean, and ranked choice helps a lot, so I do feel like it's worth just understanding the electoral mechanism, made it a lot easier. But yes, I guess what I would say, if the question is, should people who share values and want to build broader power for inclusive multiracial democracy try harder? Like, we play politics as an individual sport here. You know, it's your name on the ballot. You're asking for contributions. You're having the house parties. The posters have your name on it. When we could get beyond that and remember the goal is to build teams that win for shared values, people really appreciate it. So, I've done a lot of that. Vote for me, give me money and my time. And nothing I have ever done has been so appreciated as finding my way to this partnership.
When you went on Stephen Colbert's show with your partner, Mamdani, Colbert suggested that Jewish New Yorkers as a whole would be hesitant to vote for him because they don't think he'll take the rise of anti-Semitism seriously enough. You had a great response pointing out that it's possible to disapprove of Israel's actions and also want to protect Jewish New Yorkers. I'm curious to know, Brad, what do you make of it when everyone in the media just seems to go along with this notion that whatever the pro-Israel side thinks must be what all Jewish people think, ignoring in the process that the most senior elected Jewish New York City official, you, endorsed Mamdani?
Yeah, I mean, our politics here is so broken. I mean, just so broken. And that's been true a long time, but especially since October 7th, it is just really broken. I mean, maybe I'll say it this way, which isn't quite yet on Israel and Palestine. The other night when Trump bombed Iran, I put up a tweet that included saying, my thoughts are with Iranian New Yorkers tonight who have loved ones in harm's way. And a ton of people reached out to me as though that was some radical statement, and we are in a terrible timeline where for some reason it's just like hard to remember or hard for Jewish New Yorkers to understand that like Iranian American New Yorkers love their families in Tehran just as much as we love our families in Tel Aviv. Like, war should open you up to seeing that the people on the other side, quote unquote, of the line are just as human and love their kids as much as you do. And yet instead it has promoted a kind of trauma and fear that has weakened our empathy and divided Jewish and Muslim New Yorkers from each other in an exceedingly unhelpful way. And then, yes, of course, then you're in the middle of an electoral campaign and the media is on it over and over again. But yeah, I mean, I don't agree. I mean, I don't agree with myself on the Middle East every day. I sure don't agree, 100% with Zohran on how to approach the very challenging dynamics of Israel and Palestine. But I know for sure he wants every Jewish New Yorker to feel safe in their city. And that includes those of us who consider ourselves in some ways supporters of the vision of Israel as a Jewish and democratic state. And, I mean, I pray in a synagogue that has some folks who think of themselves as Zionists and some folks who think of themselves as anti-Zionists. So maybe that makes it a little easier for me to say that is not the fundamental line on which do you care about the safety of Jews should be focused. And maybe it's just a little easier for me to find a way to say, you're going to disagree with him, some of you, on his point of view on Israel. But if he's mayor, he will take it as a very serious role that you be safe and pray and thrive. And that's a pretty low bar, sadly, for our politics.
Yes.
But I'm glad it's resonating.
Talking of low bars, as I'm sure you're aware, right-wingers are having an absolutely unhinged response to learning that the next mayor of New York may be a Muslim. Elise Stefanik, Republican congresswoman, called him a jihadist. Laura Loomer, conspiracy theorist, but close ally to the president, said there'll now be another 9/11. Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene posted a picture of the Statue of Liberty with what seemed to be a burqa on it. What is your reaction to such blatant but also normalized Islamophobia?
Yeah. I mean, whatever, with President, with Donald Trump, like using Palestinian as a slur for Chuck Schumer in his tweet about Zohran, and like people just have to wake up to it. I mean, I understand why Jews feel anxious right now in the wake of DC and Boulder, but we have a responsibility to stand up against Islamophobia and see what's happened and call it out, and not just say, no, Chuck Schumer is not a Palestinian and Donald Trump doesn't get to decide who's Jewish, but also using Palestinian as a slur is racist.
Yes.
And we're going to stand for it. And, to me, when we say, some version of like the safety and thriving and liberation of Jews and Muslims is bound up together, it is just patently true. And it's true in Israel and Palestine, and it's true in New York City. And right-wingers are coming, and, Jews should not believe them. Andrew Cuomo went into a synagogue in this race and called me and Zohran and the black speaker of the city council anti-Semitic. They are happy to use us as pawns for their own political purposes. Well said. Don't fall for it.
Trump also, in that post you mentioned where he talked about Chuck Schumer being Palestinian, he called Mamdani 100% communist lunatic, which is measured language from Trump as ever. Do you see Trump trying to interfere with the general election to try and stop Mamdani winning? Because you've got Eric Adams, of course, cozying up to Trump.
Well, and he just sent the National Guard into Los Angeles. So, I mean, if the question is, am I worried about what the federal government is doing? I'm worried about it every day. This is my 5th time back in immigration court. What's happening there is an emergency. I got, arrested and detained for trying to stand up for those rights. And Trump is happy to use the National Guard to try, in Pam Bondi's words, to, quote, liberate democratic cities from their duly elected officials. So I am worried. At the same time, I can't imagine a better identity with which to stand up to Donald Trump than New Yorker. And the opportunity we have in this general election to rally around Zohran and build a coalition of New Yorkers who understand what inclusive multiracial democracy could look like and do it with the joy that was in his campaign and our cross-endorsement, I think is a great opportunity for how to stand up to fascism.
You mentioned the arrest by ICE agents of yourself, violently arrested on camera at an immigration courthouse in Manhattan. You were trying to escort an immigrant. They were trying to detain that day. You were asking for a warrant. A man you say didn't even have a lawyer. How alarming was that for you to see ICE officials arrest you, detain you? If they can do that to you, to borrow a line, what are they doing to people we don't see on camera who aren't elected officials?
Yeah, I mean, here I would just urge members of the public are welcome to go sit in these immigration courtrooms, wherever you are, if they have them. It is a banana republic. I mean, people are stripped of due process. Last week, the government was moving to, quote unquote, dismiss people's cases, deportation cases, and therefore strip them of their status as asylum seekers and make them subject to expedited removal. Today, they weren't even bothering with that. I mean, I just literally not an hour ago watched a number of people be grabbed and disappeared by ICE agents who have active asylum cases. The judge had literally just said, thank you for filing your asylum application. There's a hearing I'm scheduling for February of 2027. Come back. And there's two brothers from Colombia who were explaining their father had been assassinated, and they think they're going to get the chance to come back and present their credible fear. And then they walk out in the hallway and masked, non-uniformed ICE agents grab them and deport them. There is an emergency happening in our immigration court system right now. And yes, the fact that that included arresting and detaining me, only for 4 hours relative to these folks who are going to be deported back to a country where they're pretty sure they'll be killed, is terrifying. It's like they want,
So let me ask you a question I'm now asking every elected Democrat who comes on this show. Given ICE is behaving like a lawless, fascistic arm of the federal government, or even a private militia of Donald Trump and Stephen Miller, isn't it time for Democrats to go back to calling for the abolition of ICE?
Yes. I mean, I'm happy to, to say abolish ICE. I hope other people will say it too. I guess also I want more than that. Like, I would like every elected official to be in these immigration courtrooms and see what's happening and try to ask for warrants in the way that I did. We have to do more here. Like, it's hard to know when you've got like creeping authoritarianism where the lines are. But I'm telling you, we are way over them here. And yeah, like a lot more action is needed.
How do you believe the future New York City mayor, if it is Zohran Mamdani, should handle ICE?
Well, we've got great sanctuary city laws in New York City that I was proud to be a co-sponsor of when I was in the city council. So we don't allow ICE in our schools or public hospitals or shelters or jails, even though Eric Adams is trying to put them there. And then we could go one step further. I mean, let's remember, for New York City, 40% of New Yorkers are foreign-born. 50% live in mixed-status households, including 1 million children. Like, this is just the future of New York City that we're talking about. So our parent coordinators in our public schools and like the social workers in our public hospitals should have information and be able to connect people to the legal resources they need. The gentleman Edgardo that I was, walking out with, I was proud to be there with him, but it would have been a lot better if instead we had a lawyer there with him. So let's expand legal services and access so that we can do our best to protect New Yorkers.
You said, just pivoting a little bit, you said good fucking riddance on Tuesday night after former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo lost to Mamdani. But he hasn't fully ruled out running as an independent yet. He's kind of suggesting he may not run. Do you worry that he will stay in the race for the general election? Could that make it much more difficult for Mamdani to win?
I mean, it's one thing I just want to say is, billionaires just lit $20 million on fire trying to defeat Zohran and support, a person all of them know is a corrupt, abusive asshole. It's embarrassing that they did it, but they spent all that money and all it did was Zohran's numbers went up in the polls. Some people are panicked right now and trying to figure out whether they should back Cuomo or back Eric Adams. Apparently, Eric Adams launched his re-election campaign today, and some people are trying to choose him. I feel I take November seriously, and I will be working hard to make sure that Zohran wins. I don't know whether it's better just to have Eric Adams in the race or to have Eric Adams and Andrew Cuomo in the race. Either way, they are both so unfit to be mayor, and I just feel like anyone that would spend millions of dollars on them, I should be embarrassed.
On Eric Adams, by the way, he's running as an independent, but he was on Fox trying to get support. He sucked up to Trump. He's called Mamdani a snake oil salesman. What does that say about your party, though, in New York, the New York Democratic Party, that this guy was your mayoral candidate a few years ago and was your mayor as a Democrat until 2 minutes ago? What does that say about your party?
Yeah, I mean, the Democratic Party has some things to work out. I mean, and look, I don't generally curse in public, so good fucking riddance is, to me, I don't have moderates. I don't, I don't mind moderates. I was an Elizabeth Warren supporter. When she dropped out, I endorsed Bernie. When he dropped out, I endorsed Biden. Like I can support moderates in certain races, but just like corrupt, venal, abusive individuals are bad to make our standard bearers. And I don't, it is a bad time in which Eric Adams and Andrew Cuomo are the New York Democratic standard bearers. But the nice thing is that is part of why there's so much hopeful energy around Zohran. People are tired of the corrupt past and excited about a hopeful future.
In terms of the future, last question from me. Will you be getting a job in a future Mamdani administration? Was that part of the cross-endorsement? Will we see Deputy Mayor Brad Lander?
I needed a little time to process this these past few weeks. But look, Zohran has a big mandate for change. He's going to need a lot of hands to help make it happen, and I would be honored to help in any way I can.
Brad Lander, thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Really nice to talk to you, Mehdi.
Did you like this video? Don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel and turn on notifications. For exclusive content and to support our independent, unfiltered journalism, head over to zeteo.com. Your support matters.